Hey guys, welcome to the Week 0 college football rankings. So today I'm going over my personal rankings for the teams based on how they did last year, who I think would win a neutral site game, and all of that. So first I'm going to go with Wisconsin at 25. I think they got Luke Fickell at head coach. They're a pretty decent team. I think they'll be looking pretty good this year. And 24, I got UCLA. I mean, they lost Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think that's his name. But I think they got a lot of talent. And they could do pretty well. Then I got Oklahoma. I mean, they got Brent Venables at head coach. They got a pretty talented team. But, I don't know. I'm just not feeling them that well. But I think they're good enough to get in the top 25. Number 22, I have South Carolina. I know the AP poll doesn't have South Carolina ranked, but I think based on what they did last year, they're getting pretty hot at the end of the season being Tennessee. I think they can make some waves this year. Maybe do pretty well. They still got Spencer Rattler, who's up and down, but yeah. And then I got Tulane at number 21. I mean, they had the big win against USC last year. I mean, they're a pretty good team. Don't know that much about Tulane, but I think they'll be one of the better group of 5 teams. 20, I got Oregon State. Again, I don't really know that much about them. I just know they were pretty good last year. They beat Oregon, so I'm putting it around here. Now, for 19, I have a bit of a controversial one because I put Notre Dame at 19, where a bunch of the AP poll and stuff put them at like 13. It's just every year Notre Dame's just so overrated. I feel like they're always like a 20, 25 team and people want to put it in the top 10. So, my personal opinion, I don't think they beat North Carolina, Ole Miss, or Kansas State. So, I put them at 19. 18, I got North Carolina. I mean, they're always very talented. They have Drake May, but they lost to Georgia Tech last year. But I think this year they'll do a lot better. Maybe go like 9-3, 10-2, something like that. So I think they'll be like around the 18th best team. And then 17, I got Ole Miss. I think they got the Oklahoma State QB that I forgot his name. I think they got him in the transfer portal. They're always pretty good. They're always around the 17-20 range. And I think that's where they'll end up this year. Not too good, but not too bad. Then I got Kansas State. I know they had the big win against TCU in the Big 12 championship last year. Big 12. And I don't know that much about them, but I know they're always a pretty good contender in the Big 12. So, 15, I got TCU. Made it to the national championship last year. I mean, they're a very good team, but I think they lose a lot of pieces. They lost their first round wide receiver. They lost Max Duggan, so I just don't think they're gonna do as good. But I think still good enough to be a top 15 team. 14, I got Oregon. Oregon, they're interesting. I know they got Bo Nix. I'm pretty sure who's coming back, which is a big reason why they're this high. But Oregon's always one of the best Pac-12 teams, and they're very talented. They recruit well, so I have them at 14. 13, Utah. I'm pretty sure Cam Rising is coming back. I'm not sure, but Utah they won the Pac-12 last year. They're always great in recent years, so I think they're doing well at 13. 12, I got Washington. They got Michael Penix coming back. They're going to have a really good offense. The only reason they're at 12 and not in the top 10 is because I feel like there are some teams that are just a little more talented than them with better defenses, but their offense is going to be really good this year. 11, we got Penn State. I know Penn State has a lot of hype coming this year, but I'm not fully bought in. I know they got Nick Singleton at running back, who's very good, and they got Drew Aller, I think, a freshman. but I'm just not sold on them yet. Maybe they start winning at big games, like once they beat Michigan or Ohio State. Until they do that, I'm not buying Penn State. 10, I got Texas. Maybe a bit too high for Texas, because I mean, every year they're always hyped up and they always like choke, but I feel like this year they're gonna be pretty good. They got Quinn Ewers, they got Arch Manning, and I just feel like this year the pieces will all come together and they'll be a pretty good team. We got Florida State at 9. Another, in my opinion, a bit overhyped team. I know they got Travis as their quarterback, who's very good, but I think they're just a little overhyped because last year they couldn't beat Clemson. They lost to a bunch of other teams. They did get hot at the end of the season, but I think they're going to be a very good team, but not nearly as good as other people are saying. 8, Clemson. I have them in front of Florida State because Clemson, I feel like, is a more proven team. They have a better quarterback this year, and I just think they're more talented than Florida State and would win in a neutral site field over Florida State. So, LSU at 7. This might be a little controversial because I know they're 5 on the AP rankings, but I do think they're a bit overhyped. I know they have a lot of returning players. They got Brian Kelly as head coach, but I just don't think they're as good as people want them to be. 6, I have Tennessee. Tennessee was like 12 in the AP poll rankings, but for Tennessee, I think just in a neutral site field, they'd beat all the teams below them because they got Joe Milton coming back. I know they lost some pieces with Jalen Hyatt and stuff, but I'm more sold on Tennessee than LSU because I just believe they're a better team. They're a more talented team. And yeah. 5, I got USC. I'm pretty big on USC. They have probably the best football player in the nation right now. With their quarterback, which I forgot his name, but I think they're going to be a really good team this year. And yeah. 4, I got Alabama. Same as the AP poll. They have lots of question marks. They got Jalen Milroe coming in this year. But I think there's a big separation between the top 4 and everyone else. But I think Alabama, if they could figure it out, Alabama just depends on the quarterback. If Jalen Milroe does good, Alabama will be higher. If Jalen Milroe does bad, they should be lower. So, yeah. Michigan, I have at 3. They have lots of hype. They're number 2 in the AP poll. They got J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum coming back. I can't put them at 1 or 2 though, because they don't win in the playoff games. I think Ohio State and Georgia would just beat them, and I think if they win against Alabama, it would be like super close. Like Alabama and Michigan are basically 3A and 3B, but I give them the slight edge because they have more returning players, but I just can't give them 1 or 2 because they win the big games against Ohio State, but then they choke the next week, like against TCU. 2, I got Ohio State. They have quarterback questions, but basically all of the top teams do. I mean, Ohio State's got probably the second best or first best player in Marvin Harrison, and their offense, I think won't skip a beat. It's gonna do really good, and I just think they're more talented than Michigan, and that's why I put them in front. And then number 1, Georgia. Even though it saddens me to do it, Georgia is probably still the best team. Their defense is still phenomenal. Even their offense might even get better because the quarterback's going to be more talented than Stetson Bennett. But I think they just got all the pieces. I hope they don't three-peat. I'd be very sad. But the chances are they have a good chance of doing so this year. So that was my top 25 rankings.